Good morning, good afternoon. I hope you're doing great. This video has been long overdue, but the time has come. I finally show you guys how to install and set up the CrownTebexData plugin. So the first thing you have to do after purchasing the plugin on Bit by Bit is, of course, download it here. And right after that, you got to press the dependencies tab here. And you will need to download the dependencies. First, the Crown Core. And then you also need the placeholder API. And of course, you need a license key. So that's the next step. You have to join my Discord and open a license ticket. So after we have created your license key, you can use the license command in my Discord to manage your license. You will see this preview of all the plugins you own. For you, it will probably only be CrownTebexData at that moment. And you'll see whitelisted servers. Those are going to be IP addresses for you. And the most important part is over here. You can click this to reveal your license key. So we need this. You can copy this right away. The other buttons are not as important for you right now, but you can manage your servers on this. So if you want to add a new server IP, you can do this right here, like this, and then add another one. You can add to yourself, but for any more, you have to contact support. And then you just save this by submitting. All right, now you gotta install the core and the plugin on your server and then restart it. You will see this message. Your license key is invalid. It says invalid key. Now you already have a key, you just need to put it in. So we will navigate to our CrownTebexData folder in the plugins folder, and you will see a bunch of files. First, we are going to open the config. And you will see the first option here is license. You just paste your key that you copied earlier here and save it. And you can go back to the console and use the command ctd reload. ctd is short for CrownTebexData. It will reload the plugin, and if there is no error message, everything worked fine. So now we have to set up the plugin. Obviously, by default, everything is disabled, so we have to enable stuff one by one. You will see this debug mode. You don't need to touch this. This is only for debugging if you have any issues and reach out to support. Then the second option is the storage option. This is basically the configuration for how to store your data. You can store it in the H2 database. This is basically just a file in the CrownTebexData folder here, this. And if you have a MySQL server or MariaDB server running, you can choose that as well. So by default, it's H2. You don't need to configure those. And then you have some pool settings. This is for the connection pool for the database. You don't need to touch this unless you know what you're doing. And now we get to probably the most important part, is the Tebex secret. And you can already see here where you find your secret. So it tells you in the Tebex dashboard, integrations, game servers, show secret key, and then secret key. So we'll just do this here. Integrations, game servers, and then you'll have your game server here. If you don't, you need to create one and connect it to your game server. And you can press edit here and copy the key. Now that it's copied, you will take it here and paste this in. You can also set this using a command in game. It's ctd set secret. All right, this is fetch data. You can leave this true. It explains what it does here. Same for this. Same for this. And this is the second most important part. By default, the plugin doesn't do anything. You need to enable the features one by one. So the most important thing here is the payment data update interval. We set this to 30 seconds. So this basically tells the plugin to check Tebex for new data every 30 seconds. If this is disabled, so if it's set to 0, the plugin will not check Tebex data at all. Never. So the second interval here is the sales data update. This is not as important. You only need to enable this if you want it. So this tells the plugin to check the sales data on Tebex every X seconds. We don't need this now. Then here for the ranking as well. So basically ranking updates every 30 seconds. And this is a sale reminder, is the message that pops up in the chat. We can also set this to disable now because we don't have this enabled. Then there's the purchase configuration. It's commands that are executed when a purchase is made. So here is on purchase, and this is on update are commands that are executed every time the plugin updates the data. We don't need any. This is just if you have a special case and you want something, you can do it, but most likely you won't need it. Then ignore payments older than. This is just so if you have multiple seasons, for example, and you don't want the older seasons payments to be loaded, you just put the date of the start from your current season in here, and everything that's older than that will be ignored. Then here we have the Bedrock username prefix. So if you have a Bedrock store and players put their name into the store with a dot or a star, whatever it is for you, the plugin will know that those are Bedrock players and they are handled differently. Then you have the min amount for broadcast. I'll set this to 0 for now, so all payments are broadcasted in game. And then the goal bars. This is pretty self-explanatory. You have the percentage. So each bar will represent 2% by default. So it's going to be 50 bars. You will see what I mean later. If I only want to show 10 bars, I can set this to 10 because each bar is 10%, and to reach 100%, it's going to be 10 bars. And we'll keep this as 2 now. And then here is a representation of a full bar and the representation of an empty bar. So I want the full bar to have this in green, and the empty bar should have this in, let's say, gray. Okay. And then as well, commands that should be executed when the goal is completed. So let's say I want everybody to get 2000 money when the goal is reached. Then there are also milestones. I can set these like this, for example. So it will send the milestone messages at 20%, at 50%, and at 90%. And this is also a pretty important section if you want the webhooks enabled. Get this to true. And now you need to get a Discord webhook integration. So we'll jump into the Discord here, and I'll create an integration now. So you go to edit the channel and you go to integrations, webhooks, create new webhook, and you press this. You have one here, you copy this, and then you go back to your browser and paste this in. Keep in mind, this can also be done with in-game commands. It's ctd set webhook true, ctd set webhook URL, and then the URL. So now we have 3 different kinds of webhooks that are shown. We want the purchases to be shown, and we want the goal to be shown. Save. And the GG wave, this is what happens after purchase is made. So we want this enabled as well. And we want it to go for 15 seconds. The trigger text is what the people have to write. So in our case, just GG. And then the min amount for the purchase, also 0. So all purchases trigger a GG wave. The design, you have different options here. By default, it's rainbow. You can play around with these settings to find something you like. So if you have the solid, you need a solid color here. And if you use solid rainbow, you put this more colors in here. So the gradient, you have 2 colors, and it's gonna be a gradient from this color to this color. Obviously, the solid rainbow is like each message is gonna have one of the colors here. It's gonna rotate. It's going to rotate through the colors in the list per message. And the solid is just all the messages will have the same color, and the rainbow is the default one you see in the previews as well. And then I want the player to get $100 when they use the GG wave. This is only one time, so if they type GG 2 times, they still only get 100. And the fireworks, you can enable this as well now. This will spawn a firework when a purchase is made. You have two options. You can use the mode player or the mode all. The mode player, it will only spawn the firework on the player that made the purchase, and all will spawn a firework on all players. Then you have a bunch of different options to configure this as well. You can play around with that. So now we save this and we can reload the plugin very quickly and go into the messages file. So here we have a bunch of options. Most of these are self-explanatory. So this is the store. You just put your own store URL in here, and everywhere where you find the store placeholder in these files, like here, for example, it's going to put whatever you put in here. This, you can pretty much keep this default. If you don't know what this is, just keep it like this. Here, if you have a cracked server and you want your players to purchase stuff, obviously cracked players don't have skins, so here you can set the username to replace skin. By default it's my username, so it's going to show my skin for the cracked players. And here you have a default username. This is basically going to show in these embed files here. If you have the default username placeholder and default avatar placeholder, it's going to replace whatever it is here. And then the placeholder format is for these as well here. This is the GGWave chat format. So when players type something in chat, when the GGWave is active, it's going to use this format. And this placeholder here is going to be replaced what you have here. And those two messages are for admins. And then you have the goal reached message. So when a goal is reached with this ID, you will have to swap that ID out. I'll show you very quickly how you find your goal ID. So you go into engagement, community goals, and you can create a new goal here. Let me delete this. Create a new goal. Let's set this to 100, and you obviously want your goal to repeat. And then you have to select all the packages. That's important too. And you create this like that. Now you press edit and you will find your goal ID, here in the URL. So if you go back here, you have a bunch of places where you can replace this ID. Here, for example, and also here. The next message is the purchase message. You also have a goal milestone message. It's basically going to send when a milestone is reached. You can configure this yourself. It's not enabled by default. Here, the purchase message. You have 8 headlines you can choose from, and you can put them wherever you want. You just have to align them correctly. And you also have to keep in mind that each client has a different chat width, so it might look differently for other people. We can't really control that, so that's out of our control. Those are also self-explanatory. Same with this. And here you have a bunch of URLs the plugin is going to use for the purchase embeds. It's going to randomly choose one of these. If you have this enabled here in the thumbnail section, I mean in the image section, this is the image placeholder. It's going to randomly choose one of the URLs here. So now we save this. We reload the plugin again. Oh yeah, it generated the default message again. I think we don't really need that, so I probably have to change that. But yeah, so this is your actual message for your actual goal, and this is a like default goal. But yeah, you don't really need this part here, but it's always going to reset this. I probably have to update that. But now we are going to check the in-game one. So alright. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do. We have a wiki where you can find all of the plugins placeholders. I should open this as well very quickly. So it looks like this. Those are very important. You use those for the in-game stuff. But another thing you have to do when you first install the plugin and your server is already running is you need to load all the purchases that are already made. So if you look at my store very quickly, you can see that I already have all these purchases. And if I now set up a ranking, those are not going to be in the ranking, you know. Let me show you what I mean. So because right now you see that I have more than 10 payments, and because of the option in the config we set earlier here, it's only loading 10 payments every the latest 10 payments every 30 seconds. So these payments down here are not loaded in the plugin currently. So when you first install this, you only need to do this once. Is execute this command here to load all the payments. To load all the payments. You see now all payments were loaded. And if I use the placeholder again to see how much money I spent, you will see before I loaded all the payments, it was only the last 10. I was at 240, and now I'm at 255. So it loaded all the payments. And now you can set up bars like these. You only need to use the placeholders from the wiki you have here. There is an explanation for all of those on the wiki as well. And wherever it says goal ID, you just put the goal ID in you got from the Tebex dashboard. And then if you need anything else, you can always ask in the Discord chat. People are very helpful there. And the last thing, also very important, you should definitely review the plugin on Build by Bit after you tried it out. That would be very much appreciated. And I guess I wish you a great day. Bye bye.